In this part two, I wanna give another perspective. I'm saying a wide. I want to give the wider perspective on why money is not the problem. Okay, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going straight into it. Why do people want more money? It comes down to that they want to avoid violence. Oh yes, let me repeat it. People want more money because somewhere they see that if they have more money, they have a higher chance of avoiding violence. Just think about it. If you have only one stream of income, which is your job, and you go into your job, the possibility that you can be fired exists because it's a contract you have. The possibility that you can become sick and that you can lose your job also exists. Or the possibility that, well, that the company is being closed due to bankruptcy exists. But apart from circumstances like bankruptcy or sickness, people can generate malicious intent towards you and it may cost you your job without it being your fault. But still, you've lost your job. And now you don't have any income. How are you going to pay the rent? How are you going to buy food? So that's a possibility people want to avoid. Or let's say that you like to go on a holiday. Or you just want to travel to Thailand or to Argentina. Well, if you have a job, well, you can't. Because if you leave, then you will lose your job. And without a job, you don't have the finances to finance. Not even your basic needs, but, well, the journey you want to make. So when you look at it, people want more options. People want relief. That's what people seem, but, okay. They want relief, they want more options. They don't want violence. They want to avoid it. They want to avoid others. Let me say this, they want to avoid having to deal with the will of others at their expense. And when you're dependent, it can easily happen. Man, look at this. If you're a child and you realize something is wrong, you have to repress it or somehow act it out because you cannot do anything about it. The people around you are the ones responsible. And when you grow older and you see the exploitations going on in the world, those a lot of children are mistreated and abused, and that a lot of people don't want to deal with it, you may think, oh, I don't want this for me. You want freedom. So you want to avoid violence. That's understandable. But let's look at it from the wide perspective. You want to be able to spend more, so you won't have to put up with the will of others at your expense. And that's understandable. You shouldn't want to put up with the will of others at your expense. You shouldn't. And you see it correctly. If you can spend more, you have more options. If you're living in a house, let's say, and your partner begins to physically assault you, he's lost his mind and he doesn't want to stop, you can just pay another house and you're gone. Over it. Or if you're still at your parents' place and your parents become nuts and they begin to lose it against you and people don't want to deal and do anything about it, if you can spend more, you can be out of there. If you have children to feed, let me say this. If you see that a relative of yours is in trouble, where they need to pay a medical bill or something, and you can just spend it on their behalf to benefit them. Or if you have a woman who's in prostitution because she doesn't get a job anywhere else and there are too few jobs in the environment, and you can spend, man, you can relieve her from that existence, at least temporarily. So you see it right. Having more to spend does open more options, and it does give you a high chance to avoid violence. That's true. But hold on a minute. The fact that you are aware that there is violence and you want to avoid it, that already proves that something is wrong in the community. It means that something's wrong with the world. And the fact that you are fighting to avoid poverty, to avoid dependency, because you sense that something might happen, well, it also shows you that something is wrong with the world. Now, why am I mentioning this? If there is violence in a community and it continues and people validate it, that means that the people are out of order. That's what you need to acknowledge. Some people, not some, many people, they repress how their parents treated them. Their parents weren't always bad people, but their parents had their violent tendencies that they endured as children, and they've repressed it. But even though the memories are repressed, the consequences are still there. That's why they just urge to be independent. That's why they don't really trust people. But they have not faced their parents. So their longing for more money can have a root in betrayed trust during their childhood. That's why they want to have the power, because they don't trust anyone else with power. So, or it can be that they saw in their early years, it doesn't have to be childhood, it can be in the teenage years, how the world really works, and they thought, man, I want to have the power because I won't take the risk that others can decide a will collectively and I have to put up with it. I mean, those are motivations most of the time why people want more money, why people crave riches. What they don't see is that what they're longing for is a short-term fix. Let me explain why. Let's say that indeed you've seen how the world operates, there's so much exploitation and people just allow it to happen. People always look away. That means that the world is effed up. This is how the world is. And now you're in the world, but you don't want to put up with all that exploitation of the world. You don't want that. You don't want to deal with all those negative consequences. I can understand that. So now you want to spend more in this world to be relieved of the negative consequences of the world. So by spending more in the world, you are investing in the world. That same world who is producing those bad fruits you want to get rid of. Don't you see the problem here? Because look, you saw that if you have power, you can get away with stuff. And so now you think, okay, I want to have power because I don't want to have to put up with the power of others working at my expense. So now you crave power, And suddenly, let's say you do get power. And that power also works out in you getting more money. What's going to happen now? Other people are going to look at your example and they're going to be influenced by it and think that, you know what, you need to have power in this world or else you're not safe. And without you being aware of it, some people may even see you as the aggressor. Because maybe others endured consequences. It doesn't have to be bad consequences, but people face your influence and they didn't want your influence, but now they are irritated at you. It's their problem. They're the ones irritated, but they blame it on you. And let's say that, but according to their environment, you did them wrong. So now, just like you, when you were growing up, you saw aggressors and you thought, man, I need to have power so that it won't happen to me. The same way now you have other people, a newer generation, who's looking at you as a perpetrator and think we need to have power in order to... You see how this is going? It's a cycle. And you were part of that cycle. But you were not aware that you were part of a cycle. You did what was expected of you. You wanted relief. And you saw that power was a way to get relief, so you went after power. But by doing that, you have validated and continued that cycle that you wanted to avoid in the first place. So, the whole thing of wanting to become rich, it seems the best way, it seems the right way. But there are more things you need to consider. Once you have the ability to spend, that spending will be spent somewhere. If you buy a house in California, then it's spent in California. And it's going to affect the town where you've invested it in. If you spend it on drugs, then it's going to boost the drug industry and the criminal world. If you spend it on porn and all of that, now there are people who do that. I really don't recommend it. Then what you're doing is you are now energizing the porn industry and all the bad stuff associated with the porn industry. If you invest it in a restaurant, and people get jobs, you now have an impact in other people's lives. So when you can spend, that spending will have an impact somewhere, and others will notice and receive that impact. Here comes the thing. What if people are against the impact you're having, but you're the one with the power or the money? You're the one with the advantage. What do you think is going to happen with those people that have to face your impact on a daily basis while it goes against them, and they're walking around with a frustrated will? What do you think is going to happen? That annoyance will turn into anger, and that anger will become hate. And once they're operating in hate, it will turn into rage. They'll become hysterical when their will is frustrated in the long term. And when their will is frustrated, then it's going to leak out. First, it's going to leak out on their own bodies. They're going to get physical dysfunctions. Then it's going to have an impact on how they relate to others. So you're going to get more fights. You're going to get violence. And now look at this. You have that impact, and the resistance of the people against your impact is their resistance causing all that negativity. So when people want relief and they want to dump all that waste energy, whom are they going to blame? You. Okay, I'm going to give an illustration so you can understand it. Okay, let's say you have Rosanna. Rosanna is 22 and she really wants to avoid poverty. She doesn't want to end up there because she has seen when you're in poverty, people often exploit you, people often want to hang out with you, people have bad words to say about you, she has noticed that being poor has a lot of disadvantages, and her relatives come from a poor background. And she also saw that when you're poor, as a woman, often men with money will take advantage of you. And many poor girls worldwide are forced into prostitution. So Rosanna realizes and says, no, not with me. And she's correct. She should want to avoid all of those things. So Rosanna, she begins to practice her native religion of what is Santeria or voodoo, whatever they're doing there in the Caribbean. And she does not intend to harm anyone, she just wants things to work out on her behalf. And because she realizes I need help. And if I ask people for help, people will want something back from me, or people are going to have all kinds of conditions. So she just thought she wanted to look for something spiritual to do work on her behalf without the interference of other people. So she found it. This was not God's will, but she had it. So Rosanna attended a course at the airport. She became a flight attendant within a year. And when she had her certification, she began to fly around. She began to see more of the world. And at the job, within 3 years, she grew and became the head of the flight attendants. And at this position, she didn't work all the time. And as a flight attendant, she also had the right to lodge on the expense of the flight company in the other countries she was flying to. So she went abroad often on paid holidays. Now, this Rosanna now, she loved how do I say, she loved fashion. So she began to dress a certain way to be fashionable. Okay, she loves beautiful clothes, there's nothing wrong with that. Then she began to pursue her hobby, photography. She bought a professional camera and she began to make photos, often of weddings and model photography. So at this time, Rosanna was 20, 27, 28 at this moment. There was a complete difference in her situation. But now, let's look at it further. This Rosanna, she wasn't flying all the time, as I told you before. She had her own photography page on Facebook. She was on other social medias. She had customers over there also. So she had influence, she had an impact. But her popularity had a side effect. Why? Because the people and the models she was putting on pictures, those were not people that were that much esteemed by their own communities. The models that came to her were often women that had rejection issues, that wanted to get some validation. Well, they came at her and she made beautiful shots of them and they got popularity. And there were men who got married, but, well, people around them didn't really like them, but they received a spotlight. And the paranormal charm that was operating on Rosanna's behalf made sure that Rosanna's photography went all around. So those women that had rejection issues that became her models, well, they were quite skinny and all of that. You get an idea how the media portrays how women should be according to the media, which is not reality, but okay, that's how the media portrays it. So by doing that, those women now had influence, and other girls began to, well, look at those models and become dissatisfied with their own bodies. So there were women that developed all kinds of mental problems because of the models that Rosanna was featuring. So Rosanna was spending. She spent on her hobby, photography, and that hobby photography, it became something big. So everyone would say, most of the people in the world would say, well done, Rosanna, you pursued your dream. But her spending has side effects on the community. So one day, there was this daughter of this businessman who got, how they call it, bulimia or anorexia. Okay, I believe it's anorexia. And she even had to be hospitalized. And she almost died. So the businessman became upset because of it, and he wanted to find the cause of it. And this businessman, he was into the occult also, as many businessmen are. Not all, I didn't say all, but many are. So he went to a fortune teller, and the fortune teller told him, your daughter has been influenced by models, and these models have become popular throughout your region. Then the man asked, who's running that? And the fortune teller told him, this woman from the Caribbean, Rosanna. She has her own page on Facebook. She's popular on social media. She's the one behind this all. Without any further questioning, the businessman blamed Rosanna for what happened to his daughter. And to be frank and factual, Rosanna's endeavor had side effects, and those side effects did affect his daughter, so that's true. It wasn't so that the whole blame was on the side effects of Rosanna's endeavor? No, that's not true, but Rosanna, without her being married, had a big role in it. So that businessman then decided that he was going to target this Rosanna and bring her down. And other people also joined this businessman. Now, what has happened there? Rosanna's spending affected the community. There was an impact, but the impact was resisted. So now Rosanna had to put up with all that violence against her. Now look at this. Rosanna wanted to avoid violence. That's why she wanted to become rich. That's why she wanted to gain power. That's why she went into witchcraft. Not to harm others. She had no intention, she just wanted to be safe. However, she took matters in her own hands instead of relying upon the Lord. And look at this. She's now facing violence from trolls on social media. She now has a businessman who has money and he can hire a hitman to threaten her. By the way, she's already been threatened multiple times. And some of her models decided they don't want to associate her anymore because they don't want to be involved with the violence that's targeted against Rosanna. So her avoidance of violence brought violence onto her. Why? Because she sought relief. She was not delivered. So the movement that she had, that she became successful and all of that, was a null movement. It was an empty movement. It was a movement that canceled itself out at her expense. Okay, let me give another illustration now. You want to go on holiday. Alright? You want to go on holiday a lot. Let's say you do have a job and you've saved a lot of money, now you're going to spend it. You're going on many tours. So you pay for a lot of tours. You go to the Caribbean, you go to Indonesia. But look at this. Those tourist organizations that you go through for those trips, those are shadow corporations. They do have a real service, those holidays, but the tours they offer are part of a criminal realm. So let's say you go there and buy a tour to Central America. That corporation, indeed, they gave you the tickets and you go to Central America. But the company managing the bus, the hotels you will spend in, they're all part of a criminal cover-up. So by you spending money over there, you are supporting that criminal syndicate without being aware of it. And that criminal syndicate is using that tourist organization to cover up child prostitution and child pornography. But you're not aware of it. You think, I just want to go on holiday, I want to get a tour, so you do it. But without you being aware of it, you are now contributing to child pornography and child prostitution. So your spending has an effect. But it's not the effect you expect. So, in short, people often focus on they want more to spend. And their whole life is, not the whole life, but their whole thinking centered around that. Avoiding violence, getting relief, having more to spend, being left alone. They don't look at the bigger picture. They don't. They don't realize that in a world of aggression, if you're in the advantage of the aggression, you're still involved in aggression. So, what are you going to do once you have the cash? What are you going to do? Most people don't even think that way. Well, I just wanted to record this, and I took my time to explain what I'm trying to say here, so you will look at this from the wider perspective. Because when you put in your mind that once you have more money, it's over, the problems are gone, you are wrong. Let me tell you, it's often then that the real problems begin. Think about it. If you're just dependent of a job, 9 to 5, then you may have a boss that doesn't like you, or you may have people at the workplace that may annoy you. So you will have things that you will put up with just because you need a job, because you need to have that income. But overall, you're in a pattern. So people are not going to bother that much with you. They won't. Why? Because let's say you are a young woman and you have a regular job. Other women in town are going to think, well, they're going to be at ease with you because they know you're at your job. So because you're at your job, you're not flirting with their husband. Or you may not notice things about them. Alright? But let's say now you are like this Rosanna, who you work part-time, once in a while you fly, and in the rest of your time you're making photos. You're doing photo shoots. As you move from place to place. You have options. Because you have options, you see more, you experience more. That's why you will notice more. And because you have more to spend, you can purchase more expensive clothes, expensive makeup. So women in town will also realize that you have the potential to not really steal their mate from them, but to draw attention from their mates to you. So they may begin to see you as a threat to their comfort. If you were just a young lady with a regular job, or you are on welfare, that they wouldn't bother. But because you have this potential, people are going to pay attention to you. So understand that having more to spend also means you have more to face. It also means that you will have to go through more. Now, I'm not promoting mediocrity. I'm not promoting people just settling down and letting life pass them by and regret things when they're later because they didn't take any chances. I'm not saying that. I'm also not saying that you have to do foolish things, quitting your job and becoming homeless. No. If you have a job and you need it, keep the job, work well at your job, treat your boss and your colleagues right, do your job well. I'm realistic here. So I'm not promoting people doing foolish things. Neither am I promoting poverty, absolutely not. I'm just pointing out that abundance and more to spend, there comes more with it. And many people are not ready to deal with all that comes with an increase. They think they do, but they don't. And first thing you have to realize that once you can spend more, many people are going to drop you and walk away from you. Why? Because you have more to spend, you are in an advantage. And they will have to experience your advantage because you have that advantage. And many people don't want to experience your advantage because your increase in this respect means a decrease on their account. And it's a decrease they haven't chosen for it, it's a decrease they haven't asked for it, it's a decrease they now have to face. And they take it out on you. You will have people that will remain with you, just like things were before, but there will be a lot of people that will drop you. Even relatives, sometimes even your spouse. And some people that drop you will not leave you openly, they will remain around you to take their anger out on you. And let me tell you, when people are envious and jealous, it's better when people are upset with you because you did something very stupid. They are enraged, they are angry, they are furious. But let me tell you, jealousy and envy are far worse and intense than anger. Jealousy and envy is like this fierce fire. Once that's begun, it's almost impossible in human terms to cool it down. Because jealousy and envy are based on revenge. There's an advantage that happens somewhere, and that advantage practically implies a decrease on their behalf, and now they want to pay back. They want to pay back upon that advantage, and the one that has that advantage to vindicate the loss they've endured, even if that loss is just imaginary. And many of you who want more to spend, you're even praying about it and fasting about it. The Lord sees that you're not ready to face and endure all the troubles that will come with having more to spend. That's why the Lord has not increased your possessions or your finances the way you want it. Okay? That doesn't mean that the Lord doesn't want to increase you. The Lord is wise in his dealings towards you. Well, that being said, remain in Christ and be at peace.